The job, we feel like we've covered a lot of ground and put together a competitive roster that we're excited to coach.
Liza, you want to start us off?
Hi, Dusty. Liza Kushner with the Michigan Daily. You mentioned that roster that you put together. Can you talk a bit about building that roster, both through the portal and getting some new commits?
Yeah, we wanted to mix, we wanted to add some young guys with some old guys, but most importantly, get guys that fit culturally and had a baseline of talent. It's been enjoyable to see the group come together to try to fit these pieces and parts together, use our imagination based on past experience, and just find the guys that we felt like were right for this university and right for us. And because of the staff's diligence, their hard work, the relationships that have been built over time, we were able to get guys that, like I said, we're extremely excited to grow with.
Chris?
Chris Bowles with the Wolverine, how you doing?
Hey, Chris.
With Danny Wolf and with Vlad, obviously you get to sell those guys either on splitting some time or playing together. Do you envision what you're gonna do with them, and what did you tell them about that?
Yeah, well, through the recruiting process, we pride ourselves on being very transparent and open and honest, and what we tell you today is what we imagine is going to happen. Not that it's definitely going to happen, because the scoreboard and injuries and things like that can change and derail anything. But yeah, Vlad's, I think last year played 25 minutes a game. In a perfect world, we get him a few more minutes, but we play up tempo with a lot of possession, so it's difficult for our players to play 32 to 35 minutes a game if we're playing the style that we like to play. And so Vlad will probably hover around that mid-20s if he's playing at his best, and hopefully we're able to take care of some games before the last 5 minutes so you can get those guys some rest or whatever. So, but yeah, that left us probably playing Danny at 14 minutes a game at the 5 when Vlad's not in is how we probably envision it. And we'd be able to play stylistically a different brand of basketball. Danny'd be more of a 5-out facilitator. Vlad's still more of a traditional center. But also he's expanding his game. So we definitely envision those guys playing together significant minutes and also complementing each other.
And can you talk a little bit about Danny's skill set and what you saw?
Yeah, we watched Danny play a few times this year. I'm personally familiar with the Yale program because one of my son's teammates is on the team there from high school, is on the team there. And they're well coached and obviously making the NCAA tournament this year. But Danny, he's a very, very good three-point shooter for a 7-footer. He dribbles the ball well. He handles the ball like a guard. He passes it. They played through him offensively. So that's how we used our backup center last year, Rosado. And so we're very well versed in that style of play. And he fit us offensively. And so the question was, does it fit defensively with another 7-footer or 7'1" guy? And after watching Danny, we felt like he moves his feet well. He's got good mobility for a 7-footer, and he embraces contact. So we think with a summer of really strong, consistent weight work and speed work with our new strength coach, then he'll be ready to go. And the Big Ten is a bigger league than we're accustomed to playing against too. It's not as if these guys are out, the Big Ten teams are out here playing small ball for whatever, 20 nights out of this season.
Kellen?
Kellen Voss with Maize and Brew. Thanks so much for doing this, Dusty. In terms of the transfer portal specifically, finding guys to add to this roster, was there a specific strategy? Was there a recipe for the type of guy that you wanted to come to Michigan in terms of the offense you wanted to run, or were you just trying to get the most talented players possible and figure it out once you get them here on campus?
Combination of both. We obviously attacked the point guard position with some parameters. Our game is changing. The game of basketball has changed a lot, where we went through an era where the shoot first point guards were there, and sometimes that turned into shoot first, second, and third. So we wanted a willing passer. When we reflect on the best teams that we've coached, and our staff has a lot of years of cumulative experience, when we reflect on the guys we've coached in the best teams we've been a part of, it usually starts with pass first guards. And then with that, there's a trust that it will come back to them and the ball will find them later on. So we went into, this blank canvas with looking for a pass first point guard that was capable of shooting off the dribble and off the catch. and was also a capable defender, as physical as the Big Ten is as a league. We wanted a strong physical guard that could defend, and that would set the tone as well from the defensive side of the ball. And then we wanted a center. We needed a center that could do a lot of things. So we addressed those needs, and then we thought, now let's fill in these other gaps with talent, with skill, with size, high basketball IQ. Those were the things we were looking for, and we do feel like right now we have a group that complements each other. We haven't stockpiled the same type of player, and I think a lot of guys on our roster make those around them better, and that's ultimately what we're all looking for, guys that make their teammates better and impact winning.
Andrew?
Andrew Kahn with them Live, thanks for being here. As far as the roster, is it set? How many scholarships are accounted for right now?
We have one open spot right now, and we're pursuing. We're being patient, but yet aggressive. It has to be the right fit. Once again, we're trying to also just gauge our roster now and look at it closer and see if we need to think more long term or short term, and hopefully the questions will be answered here in the next couple weeks.
Okay, well, with it, I guess then all mostly set, I mean, what are your expectations now for year one with the roster set? I know you said, a month ago you wanted to win, but has that changed? Maybe even bigger goals?
No, I'm probably more confident saying that now than I was then. We expect to win. There won't be a night that we walk on the court this season where we say, hey, we need to do this in preparation for later. We'll have expectations that when we set foot on the court to win every single night or be in position to win. Obviously, a lot goes into winning. Coach Knight used to say a lot. You put yourself in position to win every single night, and then you end up winning a lot more than you lose, and you put yourself in position to win championships.
Chris?
John, from the attorneys, in saying that, are you at all surprised, that maybe not the right word, that it did come together the way you'd hoped this whole off?
Surprised. We're a very confident group. We believe in our work. We believe in our principles, our way of doing things. So we've been pleasantly surprised at how well received this university and basketball program has been. And we've also been pleasantly surprised that the guys that joined us have. So did I anticipate it was going to go like this? I probably thought we would have missed on a few more guys than we have, but it's speed dating, like I said in the initial press conference, and decisions are made quickly, and I do think we provided a real unique situation for a lot of these guys.
Hi
Jennifer?
Dusty, Jennifer Hammond from Fox 2 in Detroit. Welcome to Ann Arbor.
Thank you.
I'm curious to know, you talk a lot about pass first, up-tempo basketball styles, but to what extent do you look for a certain DNA or mindset? And what is the mentality that you want your basketball teams here at Michigan to really embody?
Well, the mindset is extremely important. We're trying to find guys that are incredibly competitive, that love the game of basketball and what comes with it. And we've typically been attracted to those guys, and those guys have been attracted to us. So luckily now, when you look at our roster, there's always a connection where we felt like we could get real information on the players. And now they can get real information on us. They were direct messaging our former players, checking up on us, making sure. So it's a different era where it's very difficult to be dishonest and not be held accountable for it. But the mindset was extremely important. And as far as the pass first and the stylistic stuff, there has to be talent and skill, but we also feel like if they're really, really competitive, then they'll figure some things out. That's what competitors do. They find ways to win. And so it wasn't as if we have to have this or we have to have this guy didn't shoot this percentage. If he didn't fit the criteria perfectly, we just kind of analyzed why, and maybe he could support the team in different areas. And there's always a give and take with every player.
Mojo?
Bob Wadowski, Detroit News. When you say we expect to win now, you expect to win now, you're a confident guy. I assume you don't shy away from goals and parameters. Is that the Big Ten title and beyond?
No, actually, I shy away from goals every single day. I have no idea what our goals are, other than be really, really good this next possession, in this next practice, in this next workout, in this next conditioning. segment, really other than that, but long-term goals, no, I'd never think about, I glance at the schedule, we'll use it as far as planning, but no, we expect to put a team on the court that is gonna compete at a high level every single night, and with the talent level we have, there's no reason why we couldn't expect to win a lot of those.
Jake Singer with Mason Brew. With 6 guards and Vlad leading your team minutes last year, now you obviously got the addition of Danny Wolf, but you also have Will Tschetter still on the roster from last season. What do you envision his role being this year with his team being one of the forwards from last year?
Whose role?
Will Tschetter.
Oh, Will Tschetter. Will's been a real pleasant surprise. First and foremost, I've enjoyed getting to know him. He's going to add a lot to this team. As far as what his role is, I've worked him out a few times this spring. We had so few numbers, it was just one-on-one sessions and whatnot, but I value his shooting, I value his toughness, and when I went back and watched games from last year, it seemed like the team functioned better when he was on the court. I haven't dove into the analytics and all that stuff yet because it's not that important. But I think his positional versatility, I know he played the 5 last year. I look at him as more of a shooting forward for us that at times he may have to play the 5 if we're playing a small. You never know. Those things always kind of work themselves out. But Will is a guy that, because he's such a great teammate, because he is skilled, I think he's going to add a lot of value to this group.
Austin.
Dusty Austin Meek with The Athletic. There's a perception that it can be tough to recruit transfers at Michigan. It didn't seem to be a big problem for you. What did you learn about recruiting transfers specifically when you were recruiting in the portal here?
That we have to do our work early. There's no reason for us to invest a lot of time, energy, and effort, and especially the emotional energy that goes into recruiting. There's one thing to make a call, and there's another thing to really be invested in that call and be present and relational in it. So we just try to really see who fit us from the beginning, and usually the ones that fit us like us better than the ones that don't. And so we just tried to streamline it by doing our homework early, getting the right information and attacking those guys. And there were a few guys that we had to stay away from, and maybe we could have gotten them in. Maybe we didn't go down that road because we had to be so efficient with our time. But like I said, out of all the guys we signed, it was relatively simple. After we got their initial transcripts, we moved it forward, and then we went from there.
Alejandro.
Dusty, Alejandro Zuniga, 24/7 Sports. Historically, teams that rely so much on transfer portal year over year struggle, whether that's to gel or what have you. I know you had no other choice, but any plans this summer or beginning of the fall to maybe alleviate some of that with the season approaching?
Yeah, a good friend of mine says the best team building exercise for sports is practice. Every single day, how we interact in practice, how we connect with each other in practice. But yeah, we'll do a lot of team building stuff. We'll look at retreats. We'll look at the conditioning component in the summer is big, where it's not basketball related, but you're going through some things. You're supporting each other. So we'll do a lot of that. I think the magic number now. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I haven't had as much time, obviously, the last few weeks, but the magic number has been, I think, 7. If you have 7 or fewer transfer portalers, I think this is. I'll give a shout out to the CBS guys. I think it's Parrish and Norlander said, if you have 7 or less transfer portalers, that equates to success. And there's not really. This is all so new but the teams that have had maybe 10, 11, 12 new guys from the portal, they haven't fared well. Now it changes by year, and all this is there's such. I guess there's so little information and years with the way it is now that it's hard to tell. But I think that's our number right now, 7. And but I think more than anything else, it's having a group that really cares about their teammates and cares about the team is more important than how long they've been together.
Larry Leitch from the Associated Press. You mentioned being pleasantly surprised by some things. Can you share any details about what excites you more about this opportunity than when you got it, in terms of things you've learned or experienced or heard?
It's been really cool for me to have the former football players reach out, and the actors that went to Michigan. Everyone is excited about this university, this athletic department, and in this particular case, Michigan basketball. So that's been the typically when you coach someplace, the former players care. Maybe there's a connection to the program that they care, but for the most part, former football players at this place, they don't pay that much attention to the basketball program and vice versa. So it seems like everyone connected to Michigan really cares about all things Michigan, and that's cool to me because I enjoy football, I enjoy baseball. I can't wait to watch a hockey. I grew up in Indiana where they don't play hockey, so I'm excited for those matches next year. So I think that's been really cool, just how much people all over especially the U.S. care about this place.
Like Clayton Safety with the Wolverine, when you're building a roster, knowing that NIL is a factor, is it kind of like managing a salary cap? I know it's a moving target with, increasing the funds also being possible. And then how do you balance the difference between guys that want to get paid, but, certain guys maybe only want to get paid?
Well, I've been very upfront that I would love our guys to be taken care of as much as any players in the country. Right now, that's probably not feasible, but I think everyone in our locker room will be making sacrifices, whether it's financial, whether it's minutes, and that's ultimately great teams have probably got 8 or 9 guys that deserve to start, that are capable of starting. I think that the championship teams aren't going out and just being the highest bidder. So I think there's always that fine line of that being important, but it not being the most important thing. And once again, every situation's different. Hey, if there's a young player that has a very, very, a limited value professionally, and they have a chance to maximize their value now, and it's the most money they could ever make than playing basketball, then it might be right for them to capitalize and go after the top dollar. If it's someone that has professional aspirations and maybe the goal of making millions of dollars in the NBA, then they probably should choose the right fit as far as development, style of play, conference affiliation, whatever the case. So it's just like everything else. Every case is different, but we've had to weigh that in every recruitment, and that's part of the information gathering phase, where if the absolute top dollar is what you're looking for, then we're probably not going to have what you're looking for, and we're going to go another direction. And philosophically, we want the first question to be about development and relationships, and then after that, hopefully the name, image, and likeness piece fits.
Ryder saved the Detroit 3 for us. How much is this roster constructed to do the things you want to do, the ball screen action, the spacing, 3-point shooting, and obviously high percentage shots down low?
I think it's very conducive to how we want to play, and that's to shoot a lot of threes. That's to get to the rim and get fouled, which allows you to set your defense. So I think out of all the guys we've signed, there's only one of them that has a lesser 3-point percentage than we'd prefer, and he shot it really well the year before that, and we think he's a much better shooter than his numbers indicate last year. That's the feel versus the science. So I think we're going to be able to play very similar. Obviously, it's going to look a little bit differently, and we're going to be bigger. We probably won't be quite as fast. But yeah, we recruited to do the things that we think produce the highest value shots, and that's what we're always going to look for. And if there's ever a case where this group can't do that, then we'll have to figure out another way to win, because like I said earlier, we have competitors, and competitors have to find a way. They're obsessed with finding a way to win.
We've talked a lot, this is Kellen Gayle with Mason Group, we've talked a lot about the transfer portal guys. I want you to shed some light on the 2024 recruits coming in. Justin Pippen, Lorenzo Cason, okay, and then Durral Brooks as well. Did you talk to them at all? What's that process been like for you?
Just as far as their role with the team?
Yeah.
Well, I think when you look at our roster, we're a little bit thin at guard depth, and those guys have an opportunity to break into the rotation. And when I say rotation, typically most teams have maybe 7 to 9 guys that they can count on playing regularly. They know when they're going to go in. They have some idea of how many minutes they're going to play per night. Obviously, they're different, and how guys, how quickly they become acclimated to college is usually the biggest indicator whether they're going to crack the rotation or not. Luckily, those guys they come from great programs. They're used to winning. They have the right substance and DNA to them. We're excited about all of them. I think a lot of people thought Cason was the best guard in the state of Florida. I didn't see all the guards in Florida, so I can't really comment on things like that. And then Justin Pippen was a guy that I fell in love with the first time I watched him play because of how we like to coach. He's got great pace and feel, his maturity. He looked like the son of a Hall of Fame basketball player. That he'd been around the game at a high level, and his brother was a high level player and late bloomers. And then obviously Brooks, being a Michigan, I mean, he's a Michigan man. He came through maybe the third day I was on the job, and I couldn't have been more impressed with him as a person. He is as likable, as charismatic, and he's driven to be really, really good at basketball, but also in life. And he's a guy that's going to those three are going to represent this place well. And they've got a bright future. I look forward to seeing those three grow together because they're all a little bit different as well. Cason is probably the most of a lead guard right now. Pippen's more of he can play on and off the ball, and then Fad's a disruptor. He's an irritant, strong defender, can score, and it just finds ways to win.
Tony?
Yeah, hey Dustin, Tony Garcia, Detroit Free Press. A lot of coaches recently seem to say that some of the best teams are player-led teams. I guess one, I don't know, if you subscribe to that theory, and two, you talked about sort of the team building and things you want to do that summer, but how do you plan to, I guess, really make that happen between now and when the first game happens, when there are so many new faces all coming together?
I think, when I grew up, it was always, and even I subscribed to this the past couple of years, where this team maybe has one leader or two leaders, and it's a lot simpler if it's your best player and hardest worker, and we're all aware of that. But I think with the way it is now, leadership can come in a lot of different ways. It's open to everyone, and so those things kind of figure themselves out. I usually the first couple weeks we have a team together, I sit back and watch a lot more than I try to impose what I want to happen. And usually you see some voices emerge. You can see who really commands a room, who has the presence, who has the it. And then once you identify that, then I feel like part of our job as a staff is the correct messaging to those guys or that person every day. And then the team messaging is big. And when they start saying things that we're saying, then you usually have a group that's bought in to the common goal. So that answer could go a lot of different ways, but I'm anxious to see which guys emerge as great leaders, and then hopefully there's some others that are great followers.
Noah Kingsley, the Michigan Daily. Rubin Jones is a guy you played against a couple times at North Texas. Why'd you want to bring him in? What do you envision his role being this season?
Well, the reason I wanted to bring him in is so I wouldn't have to play against him anymore or compete against him. He is a throwback player where he doesn't care about anything other than winning, and he's got a great EQ where his self-awareness, his ability to adapt to whatever team he's on, and I guess just be a chameleon where if you need defense, it's time to guard. If you need shooting, he's an effective three-point shooter. We've got to help him get better finishing around the rim. That was one area we thought we could help him with, but his unselfishness, and these are all things I'm talking about offensively, because we all love to watch good offense, but defensively, he played with a torn hamstring the last half of this past season, a torn hamstring, and we thought he was the best perimeter defender in our league, and our league was a top 10 league, the American Conference, with very good players. We thought he was the most impactful guard wing defender in the league, and when you have that with the ability to shoot and play off pick and roll, he's played the point guard, he's played the three, and so he's another guy we're able to slide up or down and use him in a lot of different ways, and we'd like to have two point guards on the court at all times anyway, just for decision making, and so it's more difficult for the defense to take away the head of the snake.
Stay right there, Coach, with Jonathan.
John Whitaker, also from the Daily. You talked a lot about roster construction. Can you take a step back and talk about what you were looking for in assembling your coaching staff and how that came to be?
Yeah, I guess I break everything that I was ever taught growing up, where you hire guys you know, you hire guys you've worked with, you hire guys you trust, you hire guys that are loyal to you, all those things that I was taught from 18 on or 15 on or whatever the case. I always looked at it as we're all loyal to this. We're loyal to the M, we're loyal to our guys, we're loyal to this group. And that's a shared loyalty, it's a shared sacrifice. And then as far as knowing guys, I didn't really want to work with my friends. My friends, we know each other, we share ideas. I want guys that are gonna make, that number one, compliment me and my weaknesses, guys that are gonna challenge me and the players every day to get better, that have new ideas. They have to be great teachers. They have to be enjoyable to be around. We spend a lot of time on our jobs, on this profession. And if you don't enjoy the company of those you're around, the days get longer. So I think all those things kind of roll into it. And then you look at where the guys were, and they've won at a high level. They're very good teachers and communicators. So I think all those things take a precedence over, because I worked with the guy 10 years ago, whatever the case. These were the guys that I felt like, hey, were the best teachers, communicators, and they were the hungriest and driven for this particular job. So I'm very, very pleased with the staff. He's a recruit after 2 days had already said on one of his official visits, it looks like you guys have worked together for months or years. And I looked around and saw the chemistry and guys, the relationships already being built, and it was exciting to see, because if our staff's not a true team and we have an individual ego instead of a team ego, then that's going to trickle down to the players, and it's contagious, and it's not fun to be around.
Anthony?
Hi, Dusty. Anthony Broom from the Wolverine. What was it about Roddy Gayle that stood out to you when you were evaluating him? And talk about competitors, given that he's an Ohio State guy coming to Michigan. I mean, do you see a chip on his shoulder there?
Well, I watched him play a few times randomly on just throughout the season, and I liked his game. I think he's got the unique ability to get downhill, draw fouls. Guys, backstory, and tell a lot of stories. The first couple of years at FAU, we couldn't get to the free throw line. We just couldn't get there, and I'm reaching out to the best coaches and teachers that I know and I have access to. And finally, a good friend who I lean on a lot for advice just said, hey, you got to recruit that. That's something you have to recruit. And so it always kind of stuck with me. And then the guys that I've coached that got to the foul line, it was usually something that they had well before college, and something that they did organically, I should say. But that was the thing that most excited me, his ability to get downhill, offensive rebound. He runs in transition. He plays off the pick and roll well. He's very efficient playing off the pick and roll as a passer. He's efficient with his movements and his games. He doesn't over dribble. And like I said, I believed in his jump shot. I know he didn't shoot a great percentage last year, but I think he's a much better shooter than that. And when you watched him in transition, when he had a clean look, he knocked it down a very good percentage of the time. So we were excited about him on a number of levels. I could probably go on for about another 30 minutes talking about Roddy. I think he's a special guy.
Chris?
You talked about when you first got here, maybe 25 to 35% of your time being spent on NIL and fundraising and things like that. Have you met with the collectives yet, and have you talked to a certain amount of people and gotten a head start there?
Yes.
And how's that going? Right.
It's going well. I've enjoyed getting to know those guys that run the Circle Collective. We've had an ongoing relationship. We talk with with them almost every single day, and our job is to help. It's another extension of our team. Those guys, our success is tied to their success, and I think their success is probably tied to our success as well. So just like everything else, we all want what's best for Michigan, and so we do whatever we can to help each other be successful. Those guys have worked incredibly hard to help us get where we need to be in the NIL space. So we're pleased up to this point, especially for how much time and effort they put into it.
John?
Over here. John. Why was Tre Donaldson the guy to bring in the keys to?
Well, he played, he's from Florida, and he played AAU, and so we'd seen him play a lot. So we were very familiar with his game, much like Sam Walters. So we had a lot of background information where when he went into the portal, we didn't have to do a lot of homework. We knew a lot about him already. We had watched him. One of our staffers will be joining next week. He actually played at Auburn, so he had Auburn games on a lot. So we watched Tre play, and we just thought he fit. Like I said, he could shoot off ball screens. He could shoot off the catch. He was a willing passer. We felt like the ball came out of his hands at the right time, whether it was hitting the roll or spraying out for a three. We just thought he was a guy that had a couple years, very strong, capable defender, and he came from winning. Auburn has won at a high level. He split minutes last year with the McDonald's All-American point guard, Aiden Holloway, who you guys are mostly familiar with. His sister's going to play here. And so when we put when we plugged in his numbers in a typical game, meaning a 28 or 29-minute game, then he was very efficient, and his numbers were very conducive to winning.
A lot of people don't really love the transfer portal, but is it easier in some ways to build a program when you're able to curate your roster the way that you have?
Yeah, and I went through this 6 years ago, we went through this 6 years ago at FAU where we had, I think we signed 10 guys the first spring, and at that time, you had to find graduate transfers or guys that had been ran off by other schools. That was the only way they could play immediately. So we at that time, we took a couple grad transfers, we took a runoff, we took a couple junior college guys, and then we took a few high school players. And now you don't have to, I guess, look under so many rocks and maybe go after that guy with a long injury history, just hoping you can keep him healthy 1 year, because there's so many more options because of the portal. So, like I said, I'm never going to complain about something that we benefit from. Do I prefer it this way? No. I'm a teacher and a coach. I love relationships, so I would enjoy coaching guys 5 years than one. But I also enjoy the 1 year relationships as well, and going through something together and trying to leave a mark in a short period of time. So to answer your question, no, there's no doubt we could have put together this team 5 to 7 years ago, I don't think.
Got time for a couple more before the assistants come in?
If you kind of Nimrod, were all the guys you brought in, you had kind of some relationship with? There's what, over 1,000 guys in the portal. Obviously, there could be a guy out there that's a great fit you don't know, but they're like baseline stats you use to kind of narrow it down at least?
This class, we didn't use a lot of baseline stats or third-party analytic companies. Most of these guys, we had background information on. We had some connection to those around them. Just because of, I can't remember who asked the question, the mindset and the character and what's inside of it, because that's the most difficult part of the portal is what's inside here, and those are the things that we have to find out for us to coach them well. And so I think everyone we've signed, we have some type of background with.
And then Sam Walters, I don't think you necessarily.
Yeah, Sam, I watched Sam play from maybe 8th or 9th grade. He was a good player in the state of Florida early. We actually recruited him. I was laughing the first time I called him when he went in the portal. It said Al recruit the year for Sam back when I was at FAU. So we had a lot of connections. His high school coach is from Michigan, so he holds his place in very high regard. And we've been friends for a while. We knew a lot of the people around him, his AU coaches, his the travel coaches, his workout guys. We had a lot of connections to Sam, coincidentally. And it all kind of fell into place, and it was a quick recruitment. And then also the coaches at Alabama, our staff is close with their staff. So anytime a player leaves and he did a nice job and he was a good person, the staff usually tries to help them, and they say great things about him. And I think they helped us because they thought we would be a good fit for him after he decided to go in.
Take one more, you want to close this out?
Matt Leach, WTKA. You mentioned pass first point guard was one of the first priorities here in the portal, but then you also mentioned playing multiple point guards here at the same time. How much do you value a primary ball handler, or are we going to see multiple guys initiating the offense?
Well, the primary ball handler, not as much as a lot of teams, and depending on who they're out there with, their role changes a little bit, but we play a little bit of an egalitarian system where everyone's involved, and the pro of that is it's more fun to watch. It's what the NBA is going to. It's what the world has gone to. The negative is it doesn't always find the right guy or your primary ball handler, and once again, there's a give and take with players. There's a give and take with systems. There's a give and take with ball screen coverage. Everything we do, Coach and I called it if-then. There's an if-then philosophy to it. So the primary, we need a quarterback on the court, and sometimes it's been our center, sometimes it's been our point guard. We don't need anyone to put the ball under their arm every possession and go to half court and start a set, because then we're not very efficient and the defense is set. So hopefully we have several playmakers on the court, and because of guys' self-awareness and awareness of who they're playing with, and the ball will find the right guys when it needs to after the advantage is created. So.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time.